Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive.
Looking forward to it?
Today we're tackling Emily Dickinson, specifically her poem, The Shipwreck.
Hmm. Oh, interesting choice.
Yeah, and I know poetry can be, well, kind of intimidating sometimes, right? But
Uh-huh.
stick with us on this one, okay?
Promise it'll be good.
Because, well, we found this analysis that really breaks it down in a fascinating way.
Yeah, it really gets to the heart of what makes this poem so powerful, like surprisingly powerful.
Right, exactly. It's not just about pretty words, it's about something way, way deeper.
Absolutely. And that's what we're here for, right? To uncover those hidden depths.
Exactly. And with the shipwreck, whoa boy, there are some serious depths to uncover.
No kidding. For starters, the title itself, right? The shipwreck.
Immediately makes you think of, like,
Yeah.
total disaster, right?
Right, chaos, like a literal storm. But here's the thing, though. The poem, it isn't really about the shipwreck itself, the actual event.
Really. So it's not like a dramatic, man versus nature kind of story.
Not at all. No, it's more about the aftermath, the impact, the long-term effects on the survivors.
Ooh, that's interesting. So it's more like about the emotional wreckage, kind of.
Exactly. It's like, Dickinson's taking us inside the minds of these people who've been through something incredibly traumatic.
Yeah, okay, so we're not talking about the storm itself, but more like what the storm leaves behind, right?
Exactly. And that's where it gets really interesting because Dickinson captures this idea that trauma, well, it doesn't just end. It doesn't have a clean break.
You mean like you don't just escape the sinking ship and poof, everything's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It lingers, it shapes you. The poem, it even reflects that in its structure.
Really? How so?
Well, like the lines, they're short, choppy, almost like the shattered thoughts of the survivors.
Wow. Okay, I see what you mean. So it's not just the event itself, it's the way it continues to affect them, even long after.
Precisely. And I mean, hasn't everyone experienced something like that?
Oh, absolutely. Like maybe a memory that just pops up out of nowhere. Or a feeling that you just can't shake.
Right. Or like, a particular song comes on and suddenly you're right back in that moment, like all the emotions come flooding back.
Totally. It's like the past isn't really past.
Exactly. And Dickinson, she uses such powerful words to describe that feeling. Like she calls the survivors spectral, shadows,
Uh,
almost as if they're haunted by their own experiences. Their past is more than just a memory, it's a presence.
it's like, wow, yeah, it shapes their present reality in a way,
Right.
right?
Completely.
And speaking of how those memories can like really stick with you, I mean, Dickinson's imagery, it's so vivid.
Oh, absolutely. She doesn't hold back, does she?
Not at all. Like one line that really stood out to me was the sea, a monster with a human face. Chilling, right?
Oh, totally chilling.
Yeah.
And it makes the ocean feel like so much more menacing somehow.
Right. Not just a force of nature, but something like almost evil.
Yeah, and that's that literary technique, personification, giving human qualities to something non-human.
Right. And it really highlights just how powerful and unpredictable nature can be.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. We've all felt that anxiety, right? That feeling of being completely out of control.
Totally. Like the shipwreck, it's almost like a metaphor, right?
Hmm.
For any kind of overwhelming experience that leaves you feeling, I don't know, vulnerable, lost.
Exactly. And it's not just the imagery, it's also the way the poem is structured.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, Dickinson uses this technique called enjambment, where
Hmm.
the lines run on without any punctuation.
So it's like your thoughts are just spilling out one after the other with no pause.
Exactly. No period, no comma, just flowing. It mirrors, that racing mind, those overwhelming thoughts and feelings.
So it's like we're right there inside the survivors' minds,
Hmm.
experiencing their stream of consciousness.
Yes, exactly. And that really adds to the sense of unease, that feeling of fragmentation. It's not a neat, tidy story.
Right. It's messy. And honestly, that's what dealing with trauma is really like, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've talked about trauma, memory, this feeling of being haunted by the past. But the poem also deals with survival, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's right there in the title, right? The shipwreck.
Yeah.
People survived.
And you said earlier that just because someone survives, it doesn't mean they're okay.
Right, exactly. Because the analysis we're looking at, it highlights this deep sense of isolation that the survivors experience.
Really. Even though they survived together, right?
Yeah, but they're still struggling. They're safe physically, but they're not not emotionally
Or
whole.
they're still lost at sea in a way.
Yeah. They're surrounded by other people, but they still feel utterly alone.
I wonder if that actually resonates with people even more today, in a way.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, I mean, think about it. We're so connected, right? Social media, the internet, everything. But but so many people feel isolated, alone in a crowd kind of thing.
It's true. It's like, even though you might have people around you physically, some experiences are just too hard to share, too hard for others to understand.
And maybe some people are even afraid to share those feelings.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, it's almost like you're stranded on an island, even when you're surrounded by people who care about you.
Right. And think about, going through serious illness or losing someone you love. You might have support, but there's still a part of that experience that you go through alone.
And that's what Dickinson captures so well, I think, that profound sense of loneliness that can exist even amidst survival.
Now, I am really seeing how this analysis helps us understand the shipwreck on a whole other level.
I'm glad to hear that.
And one thing that struck me was the tone of the poem. It's not like, super dramatic or action-packed.
Yeah, it's definitely not a Hollywood blockbuster.
Exactly. It's more, I don't know, like introspective.
Yes, exactly. It's somber, reflective, almost hushed.
Like we're being invited to sit with the survivors in their quiet pain.
Yes, precisely. To feel the weight of what they've experienced without any kind of sensationalism.
Right, right. So it's like Dickinson is using this really simple image, a shipwreck, to explore these incredibly complex emotions.
Mm.
Trauma, survival, loneliness, and the relationship with nature.
Mm.
It's all there.
It's incredible, isn't it? And what's really remarkable, I think, is how the shipwreck reminds us that even in the aftermath of these really, really difficult experiences, there can still be beauty.
Beauty.
Yeah, beauty
Mm.
and meaning, and reflecting on our own resilience, our own ability to come through the other side.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really powerful thought.
It is, isn't it? And I really encourage everyone listening to seek out the full poem, read it, sit with it, see what resonates with you.
Because you might be surprised to what you discover.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think we've definitely done some deep diving today.
I think so too.
Thanks for joining us for another deep dive. And until next time, keep exploring.
Absolutely.